Coming up, a Minnesota man is accused of beating his ex-wife to death in front of their children. The leaders of North Dakota Young Republicans respond after being accused of posting inappropriate comments. And targeting monkeypox, how the State Department of Health is working with colleges and universities to prevent the spread of the virus. Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines, then a conversation with Senator Kevin Cramer, who's calling for stepped-up oversight of U.S. military shipments to Ukraine. Cramer is calling for that following a report indicating much military hardware shipped to the country is not reaching its intended destination. But first tonight, a judge is putting North Dakota's trigger law banning abortion on hold once again. Set to go into effect today, the state law would have banned all abortions except for those necessary to save the life of the mother and in cases involving rape or incest. The trigger ban is now on hold, pending the conclusion of a lawsuit filed by the operator of the only abortion clinic in the state. That's the Red River Women's Clinic in Fargo, which recently opened a new clinic in Moorhead. A Minnesota man is accused of beating his ex-wife to death in front of their children. 31-year-old Anders Odegaard of Warren, Minnesota, is charged with second-degree murder in the death of Carissa Odegaard on Tuesday. Investigators say the children told police their parents had fought, and Anders tackled and choked Carissa at his home. Anders was arrested at the scene, and Carissa was taken to the hospital where she died. Court records show Anders and Carissa had been divorced for more than a year. A father accused of taking his 3-year-old daughter from the 3 affiliated tribes reservation is in custody, and we're also told the child has been found safe. Police captured Myron Johnson on the reservation last night. The child, Emma Driver, was also found on the reservation. We're told the child was taken by her father following a welfare check by Child Protective Services on Wednesday. Leaders of the North Dakota Young Republicans say the group rejects bigotry, but are also calling out what they call libel cancel culture. Young Republican leaders issued the statement this week saying, quote, "Cancel culture has become the norm for addressing conflict." The statement comes after a columnist for Forum News Service reported last week that some members of the Young Republicans posted slurs described as bigoted and homophobic in a private chat group on Telegram. The president of the Oak Grove Lutheran School in Fargo says the school has enrolled a record 654 students in kindergarten through 12th grade for the fall semester. We're told that's the largest first-day enrollment for grades K through 12 since Oak Grove opened its elementary school back in the fall of 2005. Overall, Oak Grove this year is set to serve 729 students, and that includes preschool and pre-kindergarten students. The Fargo Fire Department is still accepting applications for new firefighters.
You don't need any previous experience. We will train you on the job. What we're looking for are people that are at least 18 years old and have at least 60 college credits. If you have those two things and you're looking for a job that's physically active, exciting, you see different things every day, this might be a job for you then.
Assistant Fire Chief Craig Nelson told WDAY's Bonnie and Friends the department has received 15 applications so far in this round of hiring, but they hope to receive upwards of 50 applications to fill positions over the next several months. Fargo residents are invited to an informational meeting set to take place at the end of the month regarding a pedestrian bridge downtown. The City Commission will be hosting the meeting in their chambers at noon on Wednesday, August 31st, to talk about plans for the 2nd Street pedestrian bridge, which is adjacent to City Hall. Minnesota State University Moorhead is beginning to accept applications for the school's new Master of Arts program in criminal justice. The degree is being offered online and in person. We're told students in the program will receive training and skills in several areas, including public safety, police science, security and loss prevention, and restorative justice. The North Dakota Department of Health reports working with colleges in the state to prepare for the possible spread of monkeypox. Health officials say the virus hasn't impacted the college population yet, but they want to be ready as students return to campuses. Officials say they're working to ensure the vaccine is available to campuses if needed. 4 cases of the virus have been reported so far here in North Dakota. Well, you won't find anyone selling THC edibles inside the Minnesota State Fair this year, but you will find a lot of people selling them on the way into the fairgrounds. State fair managers say they didn't write new rules for THC edible sales this year, so no one is allowed to sell them on the fairgrounds. Many vendors, however, have set up shop just outside the gates and near busy street corners. THC edibles became legal in Minnesota this past July. Well, the Nightly Review is giving away 6 free rounds of golf at either Rose Creek or Edgewood in Fargo. To qualify, all you have to do is be among the first 160 viewers to subscribe and hit the bell button below, and mention in the comments below that you want the tickets. Once we hit 160 subscribers, we'll draw for 3 winners, with each winner receiving a pair of passes. Overcast skies dominated the weather picture around the FM Metro today. What does it mean for the weekend? Here's meteorologist Justin Storm from the Skywatch Weather Center with a look at the forecast.
Thanks, Tom. As we head throughout this evening, we'll see a likely chance for some scattered showers and thunder showers across the area into tonight. Under mostly cloudy skies, we'll drop down to a low of 60 with a southwest wind around 5 to 10 miles an hour, although expect breezier conditions around those thunder showers. For your Saturday, a slight chance for a few spotty showers through the morning, maybe lingering into the early afternoon. Otherwise, clouds will decrease. They'll reveal a mostly sunny to partly cloudy afternoon with high temperatures in the lower 80s and a southwest wind around 10 to 20 miles an hour. For your Sunday, partly cloudy conditions will continue with a high in the mid-80s. Again, it will be breezy with another chance for some storms late in the day on Sunday into Sunday night.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
Welcome back to the Nightly Review. Tonight in the One-on-One, we continue with part 2 of my conversation with Senator Kevin Cramer, focused on the now 6-month-long military conflict between Ukraine and Russia. A recent documentary from CBS News indicates that as recently as April, only 30 to 40% of U.S. military shipments to Ukraine were reaching their intended targets or their final destinations. I asked Senator Cramer to comment on that and other issues related to the conflict.
Yeah, no, it's a reasonable question, and we have to ask the question. I mean, one of the frustrations, and this gets to that a little bit, what the situation you just described from the CBS documentary. One of the things we ask our commanders and frankly, our intelligence officers on a regular basis is, are the weapon systems getting where they need to get, and are they being used where they need to be used? And the answer is never definitive, largely because we're not in that war. While we're in the war, we're not in the war. So we don't have the firsthand knowledge. It's not our generals on the ground, but they're fairly confident that a good bit of it is. Also probably equally confident that some of it is not. But we're also, up till now, we haven't been giving them our best either. They've been getting old equipment, stuff from storage around Europe. And when I say us, I mean us and our NATO allies. A lot of these older systems, a lot of them are Soviet-era systems that have come from various stockpiles around Europe. So, I don't want to judge too quickly, but we do need to step up the oversight of all of that. We need to constantly pressure Vladimir Zelensky on inventory of it.
A recent report from the New York Times indicates that so far, the United States has committed at least $54 billion in financial and military support for Ukraine. I asked Senator Cramer to respond to taxpayers who are opposed to spending billions of dollars overseas while Americans struggle at home and while the national debt grows exponentially.
Well, first of all, I think people would be surprised that, I hate to start using numbers like 5 billion, 8 billion, 9 billion as though they're small numbers. They're not insignificant small numbers. But the total amount that we've contributed to the war effort in Ukraine is not nearly as high as I think a lot of people think. But more importantly, one of the things I like to say is the cost of Ukraine not winning this war is much, much higher than us helping Ukraine win this war. And by that I mean we have NATO obligations. If the next country is Poland, if the next country, is Romania or some, Bulgaria, Hungary, we end up having an obligation then to engage in that war personally with our own troops and our own systems. And that's a very expensive war if we get to that point.
Finally, Senator Kramer agreed with those who see the war in Ukraine simply as a proxy war between Russia and the United States.
Well, I think it is. I don't necessarily apologize for that. I'd rather have Ukraine fighting a proxy war on our behalf with Russia than us be in World War III, because that's the next step. That's the alternative. So in some respects, they're correct, which is again why, while we may not have a contractual obligation to it, we do have some moral, ethical obligation to ourselves and to the freedom of our own country. Remember, a lot of times these comparisons are drawn to Middle Eastern wars or to conflicts in the Middle East. Europe is not the Middle East. Russia, Ukraine, that's not the same as going to either Asia or Africa or the Middle East. So I'd say to those people they're not entirely wrong, but it's also not a reason not to be involved.
I'd like to thank Senator Kevin Cramer for joining me for tonight's one-on-one conversation. You can catch the entire interview with the senator online at WDAYRadioNow.com. Well, that will do it for this Friday night, August 26th, 2022. I'm Tom Tucker. Thanks for watching the Nightly Review.